Hello, and a few more, especially for my friend Penny, but also for you, Carl, and for anybody else. And the first one is disobedience. James Morrison Weatherby George Dupree took great care of his mother, though he was only 3. James said to his mother, "Mother," said he, "you must never go down to the end of the town if you don't go down with me." James Morrison's mother put on a golden gown. James Morrison's mother drove to the end of the town. James Morrison's mother said to herself, said she, "I can get right back down to the end of the town and be back in time for tea." King John put up a notice: "Lost or stolen or strayed." James Morrison's mother seems to have been mislaid. Last seen wandering vaguely, quite of her own accord, she tried to get down to the end of the town. 40 shillings reward. James Morrison, commonly known as Jim, told his other relations not to go blaming him. James said to his mother, "Mother," said he, "you must never go down to the end of the town without consulting me." James Morrison's mother hasn't been heard of since. King John said he was sorry, and so did the Queen and Prince. King John, somebody told me, said to a man he knew, "Well, if you go down to the end of the town, well, what can anyone do?" Now then, very softly, J. J. M. M. W. G. Dupuy took great care of his mother, though he was only 3. J. said to his said he, "You must never go down to the end of the town without consulting me." And this one's called The King's Breakfast. What do you like for breakfast? I know someone who likes Vegemite toast for breakfast, as long as you don't put any butter on it. I like muesli for my breakfast. I wonder what the king likes for his breakfast. The king asked the queen, and the queen asked the dairymaid, "Could we have some butter for the royal slice of bread?" The queen asked the dairymaid said, "Certainly, I'll go and tell the cow now before she goes to bed." The dairymaid, she curtsied and went and told the elderly, "Don't forget the butter for the royal slice of bread." The elderly said sleepily, "You'd better tell His Majesty that many people nowadays like marmalade instead." An elderly's a sort of cow. The dairymaid said, "Fancy," and went to Her Majesty. She curtsied to the Queen, and she turned a little red. "Excuse me, Your Majesty, for taking of the liberty, but marmalade is tasty if it's very thickly spread." The Queen said, "Oh," and went to His Majesty. "Talking of the butter for the royal slice of bread, many people think that marmalade is nicer. Would you like to try a little marmalade instead?" The King said, "Bother." And then he said, "Oh, dearie me." And the King sobbed, "Oh, dearie me," and went back to bed. "Nobody," he whimpered, "could call me a fussy man. I only want a little bit of butter for my bread." The Queen said, "Oh, there," and went to the dairymaid, and the dairymaid said, There," and went to the shed. The cow said, "Oh, there, I didn't really mean it. He's milk for his porringer and butter for his bread." The Queen took the butter and brought it to His Majesty. The King said, "Butter, eh?" and bounced out of bed. "Nobody," he said as he kissed her tenderly. "Nobody," he said as he slid down the banisters. "Nobody, my darling, could call me a fussy man, but I do like a little bit of butter for my bread." I know someone who doesn't like butter on their bread, don't I, Carl? Won't eat it if we put butter on it. I have some stairs at my place, and sometimes we sit on the stairs, don't we? Just like this. Halfway down the stairs is a stair where I sit. There isn't any other stair quite like it. I'm not at the bottom, I'm not at the top, but this is the stair where I always stop. Halfway up the stairs isn't up and isn't down. It isn't in the nursery and isn't in the town. And all sorts of funny thoughts run around my head. It isn't really anywhere, it's somewhere else instead. Thank you. Bye.